Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. This is Corey, and today I want to unpack over the next few days this idea of how do you communicate effectively as a leader. And I think communication as a leader has become significantly more difficult in the age of AI that we live in. And I'm going to unpack over the next few weeks how to lead in this era or this age of AI, because it is disruptive. And if you're listening to this, the level of disruption that you are experiencing because of AI, either your company or your team, you're figuring out how to leverage AI to help you be more efficient and effective, or maybe there, in some cases, AI is automating things that were manual in the past. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to use AI to make you a better leader and to help be an assistant for you as you do your work throughout the day or as you lead your team. Regardless of how you're using it, it's here. And AI is very disruptive. It's one of the most disruptive technologies that have presented itself over the last several decades that is really changing the way that we do work. And so I'm going to spend some time in the future unpacking how do we lead in the age of AI, because at the end of the day, here's what I know. People are still people. And a lot of how we lead are still the things that people need from us as we lead. Now, how we're leading and what our people are doing may be changing because of AI, but people still need the fundamental skills that we talk about on the Leadership Spark podcast, because people are still people and people need great leaders to help them reach their potential and help bring everyone together for a collective good. And one of the most important ways that we do that is through communication. So I want to spend the next few days talking about communication and how hopefully after you listen to these over the next few days, you can be better at communicating. And if you're better at communicating, you are going to be better at alignment and collaboration and getting your people to buy into a collective or common goal that will help you achieve the goals that you have in the first place, and hopefully help you achieve your why and why you lead in the first place. And so communication is a big part of that. And we make a lot of mistakes as leaders. We make a lot of assumptions as leaders about communication that ultimately slows things down for us and for our team. And so what I wanted to start with today is just to share with you a framework that I created called the 4Cs framework. And this really unpacks the 4 things that your team needs from you every time you communicate. And if you'll think about this, this is the frame through which we'll view everything else. And it'll make sense as we go through this. But if you'll think about this and you apply it to your communication, it will help increase and elevate the effectiveness of your communication. And ultimately, you can get the result that you want to get communicating in the first place, because when we communicate, we want something to happen. And so I want to share with you this framework, the 4 C's, really quick, and then we'll unpack more communication in the coming days. And so there's 4 things your team needs from you, and they all start with the letter C. The first is clarity. If you confuse, you lose. And we've said that a lot on this podcast, but everybody needs to understand and be clear on what's being communicated by you and what are the expectations from the communication. And that's your job as a leader, to communicate with clarity. If people are unclear after you communicate, you did not do a good job of communicating, and ultimately you won't get your results. So the first C is clarity. The second C is connection. People need to understand, how do they connect to what is being communicated? What's in it for them? What do they need to do? How does it impact them? As a result of the communication, what are your expectations? And so communication needs to help connect to the person and their emotions, and they need to be able to connect themselves in the world that they live in when they show up to work to what you are communicating, and understanding how that moves them or what they should do differently as a result of your communication. So your team needs clarity, they need connection, they need contribution. So every time you communicate, your team needs to understand their contribution to the outcomes. What role do they play in the outcomes associated with your communication, whatever it is that you expect whenever you communicate? And people need to understand the personalization part of communication. It's hard to get people to move if they can't understand how do they contribute towards what it is you're trying to move the team towards, or a decision you're trying to make, or a change you're trying to implement, or anything that you're trying to get as a result of your communication. And so if you can personalize it, the probability of your communication sticking is going to increase significantly. And so you want clarity, you want connection, you want contribution. And the fourth is consistency. And we're going to unpack this more when we talk about assumptions we make about leadership that are bad assumptions. But communication is not a one-time event. Your team needs to hear the message over and over from you reinforced. And so if you do those four things consistently, if you drive clarity, if you help people connect, if you help them understand their contribution, and you communicate consistently, you will set yourself up for a more successful outcome when you communicate. And so come back over the next few days, and we're going to unpack this further and talk about more practical things that you can avoid or do to help you be a great communicator as a leader.